All you, brother.
All right, now today we're going to do a Clouser minnow, and here I have a B10S size 2 hook. I think in most of your bags you have streamer hooks, which are good to use too. With a Clouser, traditionally a shorter shanked hook like this would be for bass, because when a bass eats the bait, it has a bigger mouth, but it's usually going for the eyes and the head. Whereas a trout, when it eats the bait, it's going in at the tail. That's why if you're tying it for trout, a streamer hook's good, and try not to have the tail material go too far past the hook. If it's for bass, then you can have tail material go quite a ways from the bend. First thing I'm going to do is attach my thread.
Does it matter what color thread?
I like to use red thread, just because it looks like blood or gills. I like using white thread for these, because then I can use my Sharpie and color it. So if I want a chartreuse head or a yellow head or a black head, usually I want red. Usually I put a red with every Clouser I tie. Now, the placement of the eyes, you just want to kind of look at the hook. You don't want it too far forward like that, because then you're not going to have enough room to attach the material. Then if you have it too far back towards the bend, then the head's much too big. Traditionally, tires would make 2 small thread bumps and put the hourglass in between the 2 so it doesn't shift forward on. I don't do that. I used to do that, but if you're using super glue or Zap-A-Gap, you really don't need to worry about that. And as far as the eyes spinning on you, this one only has super glue on it, and those eyes aren't moving. So I want to see where now I think that's a little too far back. So I'm going to move my thread forward a little. That looks good right there. Now I'm just making cross cuts, and then after I get a few base layers there, then I go under, and I'm going to pull that pretty tight, and that's going to really hold those barbell eyes in place. You don't have to use a whole lot of thread. I don't like going back on the shank. I like leaving the shank bare. And then I'm going to bring my thread just in front of the barbell eyes. So I'm going to tie it in red and white, so I'm going to use the white as the belly. And you want these sparse. I'm going to pull out more than I think I need, which you can see that's more than I think I need right there.
Back up here just a smidge. There we go.
Just that small pinch, and you'll see I'm going to get rid of a lot of those, or at least a few of those fibers.
Not quite the width of a pencil.
So now I'll hold the tip and then gently pull, and you can see all these shorter fibers. I don't want those in there. So you can see I took out almost half of what I had. And then I'm left with longer fibers. Now there's still some short ones in there. I just don't like those sticking out like that. So then I just taper it down to that. Now usually you want at least 1.5 the length of the shank for the tail. Sometimes I'll go twice. So that's 1 right there. That's about 1.5. That looks pretty good there. Now I'm going to grab it like that, and then I'm going to tie that down in front of the eye. And those wraps are right on top of each other. I'm not going forward towards the eye of the hook. And another trick with this GSP thread, sometimes it'll cut the hairs, so you can give it a counterclockwise turn to flatten the thread, and that'll prevent it from cutting through. Now at this time I can let go. I'm going to trim all this excess. And when I trim it, I like to do it at a little bit of an angle so that it'll give a ramp look to the head. Now at this time I'm going to wrap back that and secure that belly hair, but like I said, I like this in red, so now I just color my thread. I like to keep all that hair together on top of that shank. Now I'm going to go backwards towards the bend. A big open spiral wrap. And then when I get to the bend, I'm going to secure that down, then come forward and making like an X pattern on the top. Now I'm going to lay a few wraps and secure that deer hair down in front. It's all right if it's sticking out like that because you're going to add more. Now at this I spin it over. If I was using my UV light and UV glue, at this time I like to coat this part of the fly just to give it more durability. I'll coat that and then the deer hair on top of the barbell eyes. Next step is the flash. You don't need a whole lot. 3 strands will do you because we're going to double this over. So I take the 3 strands, 4 strands, doesn't matter. You want to keep this sparse. Get the middle. Bring that material to the top and just a couple wraps to secure it. I bring it down to the tips of the white and trim it. Next step, now we got the top wing. Mine's going to be red. It seems like the bass love these colors, the chartreuse and white, yellow and white, and red and white. You can tie this in, I tie it in all colors. Tie them to look like bait fish. You could use like a white belly and a gray wing, or you could put a gray under wing, like you could put a smaller wing like that, and then put another color over the top. You can do whatever you want, but I make them look like minnows where I do a white body, then I put a little gray wing in, then over the top I put a black wing. But since we're just doing one color, you want this top wing thicker than your belly density. And remember, you're going to lose a lot of this hair because a lot of it's too short to use. So again, I'm gonna grab them about the middle or so, and then just pull all that short under fur kind of stuff out, and you're left with that. Now I kind of just want to measure. I want these tips to just go past the belly tips, just a little bit. So I'm pinching it, and where my tie-in point will be, I want that just a little bit longer. So that looks good like that.
And while this is a very productive fly for bass, I caught my personal best 28 3/4 brown on the same fly. So it's very productive.
It's a great fly for anything. Anything, anywhere in the world, this will catch fish. This and a woolly bugger. But you can tie them smaller, like I said, for trout, with the point of the hook closer to the tail. I catch steelhead with them, when I tie them like that. Like Ben said, trout eat them up. Bass, bluegill, perch.
They work in salt too, yes.
Yeah, I had them in Florida when Ben and I were down there. They were digging the orange and blue down there. So now I'm gonna just trim that excess hair out. Now at this time, I'm just forming the head, so now I'm wrapping all that material down. And just go back and forth. If that's for me, tell them I'm not here.
Good. I can't talk now. Okay.
And the scouting report just came back. There's a bunch of bass in the Legion Hole.
Oh, nice. All right, so that looks good for what I want to do.
See you later.
You can tie, use your whip finish tool. I just throw a couple, 2 or 3 half hitches on there because I usually glue this. And then I just take my marker. Now another little trick, this doesn't look bad, but sometimes you'll get them and the hair's all splayed out like that. Now once it gets wet, it'll go down, but that doesn't look too good. So what I do, again with that UV glue, I'll hold it down like I'm tying it in, and when I put that UV glue on, I glue the head, but then I come back on top the whole width of the hair, but I'll come back to about there and hit that with UV glue, and while I'm holding it, then I cure it, and then that'll help keep the shape. It's almost like hairspray. But that's it. That's a Clouser minnow.
Very good. Any questions?
And if I'm doing a half a dozen of these, the first thing I do is just tie my eyes on. Because I'll tie eyes on, then I super glue them, and then let them dry. And then by the time I'm done with the sixth one, the first one's totally dry, and I can go and start tying it with this.
All right.
Thanks, Rich.
Yep.
Yeah,